All right, in just the next few minutes, we're going to crack open a skill that is seriously at the heart of every top MBA program out there. We're talking about turning messy, confusing, raw data into those game-changing business decisions. So forget the jargon, we're going to break down the exact process leaders use to find that one critical signal hidden in all the noise. So here's our game plan. We're going to treat this just like a real consulting project. We'll start with the client's biggest problem, their biggest headache, and then walk step by step through the process to deliver a solution that's totally backed by data. Think of this as our roadmap for the next few minutes. Okay, first things first. Let's start with the problem that, honestly, every single modern business is facing right now. They are completely and utterly swamped with data. This is the challenge that kicks off almost every real-world project. You know, top MBA programs, like the one at Imperial College, they really nail this key paradox. Managers today are swimming in data, but having more information, well, that often just leads to analysis paralysis, not actually making better decisions. And what makes this so incredibly important is that this data flood is happening in a world of what the lean startup famously calls extreme uncertainty. So you're being forced to make these really high-stakes calls with information that's incomplete and, frankly, super noisy. So the big question is, how do you cut through all that noise? Well, you don't just guess. You need a framework. So let's open up the toolkit that top consultants use to bring a little order to all that chaos. This right here, this 6-step process, it's a cornerstone of programs like Imperial's, and it's our roadmap. It's a really methodical journey that takes you from a vague, fuzzy problem to a concrete, actionable recommendation. It shows it's all about having a solid structure, not just a stroke of genius. Okay, now that we have our framework in place, let's explore one of its most powerful uses: using data to actually forecast what's coming next and make much smarter predictions. So when it comes to forecasting, there are basically two main ways to go. You've got the survey method, which is direct. You just go out and ask experts or customers. But the statistical method, that's where the real magic is. It uses your own history, your own data, to uncover these hidden patterns and project what's likely to happen next. Now, our key tool for this is something called regression analysis. I know, it sounds super complex, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. It's just a way to find the precise mathematical relationship between the thing you want to predict, let's say sales, and all the factors that actually drive it, like how much you spend on ads. Okay, now let's see how this tool actually translates a total mess of raw numbers into a clear business story. This is the moment where the data finally starts talking to us. I want you to put yourself in the CEO's chair for a second. You are staring at this massive, overwhelming spreadsheet. How in the world do you find that one single insight that's going to give your company a real strategic edge? Well, it usually starts with something that looks just like this. This is from a real analysis out of NYU Stern. You've got beverage companies down the side, and then all these columns of data on their valuation, growth, risk. It's just a wall of numbers. It's almost impossible to see any real connections just by looking at it. So your first instinct might be to just plot the data, right? But as you can see, that just gives you a cloud of dots. The scatter plot here showing company growth versus its valuation, it just looks like pure random noise. The signal is totally buried in there somewhere. And this is where the magic happens. This is where the analysis finds the signal. Conceptually, what's happening is like drawing the one single straight line, the line of best fit, that gets as close as possible to all those scattered data points, and that line, it becomes a formula. It becomes a powerful tool that says, hey, I can predict a company's value if you just tell me its growth rate. It literally transforms noise into a predictive model. But look, this isn't just a cool math exercise. How does a model like this actually drive strategy for huge companies like, say, Virgin Media or SSE? Because the model doesn't just predict what will happen, it explains why. It tells you why the market values growth so much. It lets you make these controlled comparisons, isolating the factors that truly matter. And this is the kind of insight that drives massive strategic decisions at firms like Virgin Media and SSE, everything from pricing to who they decide to acquire. Okay, so let's boil this entire thing down to the essential, MBA-level takeaways that every leader really needs to know. Here are the 5 key things you absolutely have to remember from all this. Number 1, always start with a framework. Don't just dive in and get lost in the data. 2, Master data-driven forecasting so you can see the future hiding in your past performance. 3. Think strategically, not just technically. The goal is a better decision, not a perfect model. 4. Integrate multiple perspectives. Bring finance, marketing, ops all into the conversation. And finally, number 5, communicate with impact. A brilliant analysis is totally useless if you can't convince anyone to act on it. So that really leaves us with one final question. Every single business out there is sitting on these massive clouds of data that just look like noise. The question is, are you equipped to find the signal? What hidden patterns in your data could be waiting to unlock your next big strategy?